This is Eyewitness News on LA56 with live breaking news.
Breaking news, what a traffic disaster. Police activity shuts down a major LA freeway for hours, backing up vehicles for miles. Tonight, finally, a breakthrough.
And get ready for more traffic nightmares on the west side. How the so-called Century Crunch could impact your drive, especially if you're headed to the airport.
Our sizzling heat wave isn't over yet. The situation turned dangerous for a young hiker stranded in the heat. Good evening. I'm Colleen Sullivan.
David Ono, welcome to Eyewitness News on LA56. And we begin with that breaking news on the 5 freeway in East LA near the 710 interchange. The freeway was just reopened after being shut down in both directions for hours, all due to a man on an overpass. The closure snarled traffic throughout the area. And Eyewitness News reporter Melissa McBride is live in East LA with the latest. Melissa?
And David, traffic is getting back to normal down on Interstate 5. Now that man was taken into custody about an hour ago, and he's going to be placed on a 72-hour psychiatric hold at a local hospital. Now, in order to get him down after hours of negotiations, the LA County Fire Department cut a hole in the fence and pulled him to safety. This is the Downey overpass on Interstate 5. Now, he claims that he was not under the influence of drugs or alcohol. It's unclear if he had any kind of mental problems. Now, sheriff's deputies say that the man did tell them that he was out there to smoke a cigarette. He did not specifically say that he wanted to end his life. Now, the man had climbed out onto the freeway sign this afternoon at about 4 o'clock today, and at first authorities didn't know if he was a tagger or if he was somebody who was about to jump. The California Highway Patrol shut down the 5 in both directions. That stranded drivers during the evening commute for about 3 hours. People were getting out of their cars parked on the freeway.
I've seen traffic in LA before, but never like this. This is something else.
It's very hard. I've been here for hours. Too much. Too much. All the 5 freeways is closed.
Everyone's upset, so it's not really fun to be around that. And taking a live look over Interstate 5, showing traffic tonight on this Friday evening commute returning to normal after being very, very jammed for several hours this afternoon. Again, this person who was out on the overpass did not specifically say that he was going to try to commit suicide. He told authorities that he was going to go smoke a cigarette, and that's just where he ended up. There were some family members that were involved in the negotiations, as well as sheriff's deputies who were trying to talk the man down. But again, he is in custody now, and at this point, he's not facing any charges. Reporting live in East LA, I'm Melissa McBride, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
All right, Melissa, thank you for that. If you are heading to LAX this weekend, you could run into some big delays. Century Crunch begins in less than an hour. Century Boulevard will be shut down at Aviation Boulevard from 9 p.m. tonight until 6 a.m. Monday, while a railroad bridge is demolished. Eyewitness News reporter Jory Rand is live near the airport with the warning for the drivers. Jory.
Colleen, that railroad bridge is right behind us. They've already begun preliminary work, cutting down street signs, laying down a ramp to get that construction equipment out onto the road, and they are going to shut this intersection down. It's one of the busiest intersections on one of the busiest travel weekends of the year, but we've been through this before, LA. We've had Carmageddon 1 and 2. We've had Ramp Jam and Jamzilla. Well, now get ready for the Century Crunch. The signs are posted, construction equipment at the ready. Drivers, beware. Come 9 o'clock tonight, LAX will experience the Century Crunch.
If you don't need to be here, stay away.
Here would be the intersection of Century Boulevard and Aviation Boulevard, which will be closed from 9 p.m. Friday to 6 a.m. Monday. Even with early notice, this is going to cause big problems.
This week actually marks as one of the busiest weekends that we have for the summer travel season. Almost as many passengers that come in the day before Thanksgiving.
One driver who won't be caught in the crunch is Roger Smith, driver for Amazing LA Tours.
I'm avoiding it. I'm going to go around. So I'm here now, filling up now, so I don't have to worry about it.
Others are looking to recent traffic events and hoping LA stays away, like the famed Carmageddon.
Yeah, Carmageddon, they advertised it so much that everyone is off the street.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that will happen. But knowing the area, I think it's going to get pretty tight here.
Here's what's going to happen. Beginning at 9 o'clock tonight, they're going to close down the intersection. Next, they'll lay this dirt directly onto the pavement as much as 10 feet high, which will act as a sort of pillow to protect the road as they begin chipping away, piece by piece, large chunks of the old railroad bridge. It's all to make way for this, the Century Station serving LAX beginning in 2019. The goal for this job is to have the demolition done and the roads reopened by 6 a.m. Monday morning.
And I'm an LAX fan, and I fly out of LAX, and I know how important it is to wait until the last minute. Please plan ahead.
Let's make this another non-event. Thank you.
Okay, so Century Boulevard is still being heavily used right now. Not for long. 9 o'clock, they're going to shut this down and get things started. They say $25,000 per on this road just to get to LAX. Other alternate routes that they suggest using: Sepulveda, the 105, or mass transit to get around what is going to be the Century Crunch. We're live tonight outside LAX. Joy Rand, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
All right, Joy, we are warned. Firefighters in Laguna Beach are working to remove a crane that toppled over onto a house. It happened on the 2800 block of Roundsville Terrace. Witnesses say the crane had delivered materials to a neighboring home and was in the process of backing down a steep and narrow street. The crane was trying to negotiate a curve when it tipped over. The homeowner is in Michigan, while relatives from Arizona vacationed in the house. No one was injured, but the home is now red tagged.
Heavy landscaping materials are being blamed for causing part of an underground parking structure to collapse in Century City. It happened at the residential complex in the 10,000 block of West Galaxy Way. Tons of dirt and lava rock are being stored on top of the parking structure. A number of cars were crushed while no one was hurt. People living in the surrounding townhomes say it was very scary.
We heard this massive noise and shaking. I thought it was an earthquake, and we looked out of the window and everything had caved in.
Dozens of people were evacuated from buildings as a precaution. Safety crews will spend the weekend shoring up the area around the parking garage.
Now to our heat wave. It was definitely a factor in an emergency situation in Malibu today, where crews had to rescue a pair of young hikers. They were stranded on a cliff, apparently without water. One of them, a 12-year-old girl, was suffering from heat exhaustion. Meantime, for others, the hot weather meant trying to find ways to beat the heat. Will the heat wave continue into the weekend? Here's meteorologist Jonathan Novak with the details. Hi, Jonathan.
Make sure, Colleen, folks, got to keep that water around. Really important. Yes, the heat wave, to answer your question, Colleen, we've still got some stretch to go here, some length of time before we start seeing things really cool down, anything that's tolerable. We did have some showers today, speaking of tolerable, that cooled things down around Palm Springs. This was a few hours ago. Things already dry tonight for you guys, and up north of Big Bear, where we saw some light to moderate rainfall a little earlier today. Some cumulus clouds sparking up as that monsoonal moisture rode up over the mountains, and we'll talk more about the rain chances a little bit later. But temperatures today noticeably cooler, I think, at least, but certainly not cool by any means. I wouldn't even say warm. 94 still very hot in Woodland Hills, but you were in the triple digits yesterday, so we got a break, a little bit of a break. 92 Pasadena, and in Hemet, 76 Santa Monica. We're at 71 at the beach right now, 79 in Burbank, so yes, we do have that cool down that's already begun. I can talk a little bit more about it a little bit later and how cool it's going to get. 88 in Palmdale at the moment. 95 in Palm Springs. I mean, that is about a 16-degree drop from this time yesterday. Day planner for tomorrow. Wake you up around 67. You're at 81 by noontime. How cool does it get in the 7-day? I will tell you coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. And wherever you go, take the power of Eyewitness News weather team with you. Download the free ABC7 Mega Doppler weather app from the iTunes App Store or Google Play.
2 U.S. fighter jets scrambled to escort a plane back to Toronto, Canada. Police then storming the plane, and we have dramatic video from inside the cabin. And this all happened after officials say a passenger directly threatened the aircraft. NORAD officials say 2 fighter jets took off from Ohio and flew the plane out of U.S. airspace as a precaution. Sunwing Flight 772 had 183 passengers and 6 crew members on board. It was headed from Toronto to Panama City when it turned around over West Virginia, and the fighter jets escorted it home. No one was hurt. Police arrested 25-year-old Ali Shahi and charged with uttering threats and endangering the safety of an aircraft. And we are now getting a look at the wreckage of Air Algeria plane in Mali. The plane went down near the border with Burkina Faso, and it traveled to Algeria. One black box has been recovered. More than 200 French troops are now guarding the site before investigators arrive tomorrow. French authorities aren't ruling out any cause, including terrorism, although experts believe the plane went down due to bad weather. The death toll has now been revised to 118, 51 of them French.
Tonight, Israel says a 12-hour humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza will start Saturday morning. This after days of bloodshed and hundreds killed. ABC's David Wright reports from Gaza.
After 18 days of conflict, anger in the Palestinian territories has reached a boiling point. In Jerusalem and the West Bank, tensions flaring. Here in Gaza, Hamas rockets firing, Israeli planes, tanks, and gunboats pounding back. Prayers for a lasting peace unanswered. But Israel wants more time to destroy Hamas's network of tunnels, and Hamas wants Israel to end its 7-year siege of Gaza. But tonight, a glimmer of hope. The final straw may well have been yesterday's attack on that UN refugee center, provoking outrage over the civilians caught in harm's way.
What? This is blood?
What? This man told me he witnessed his mother and sister killed in that attack. Israel says it warned the UN 8 times to move the camp, but the UN says Israel failed to provide a safe window of time for staff and civilians to escape the shelling.
It's really for the Israelis to investigate and tell us what happened.
The bigger problem is that the refugees have no place to go. Gaza is a strip of land that's smaller than the city of Philadelphia and more densely populated.
And again, that was ABC's David Wright reporting from Gaza.
The mystery of the porcelain dolls left at San Clemente Homes has been solved. It turns out it was just a woman in the neighborhood trying to do something nice, but it caused a bit of a stir. The dolls were left on the porches of several homes with no explanation. Some of the people who got them thought it was a little creepy, especially since some claimed the dolls resembled their daughters. Sheriff's deputies investigated and found the woman who left them. She told them her daughters were older, no longer played with them, and thought maybe the girls in the neighborhood might like them. Well, the Lakers could be close to hiring a new head coach. Reports today say former Laker Byron Scott is in negotiations with the team. The 53-year-old Scott has extensive NBA head coaching experience, including guiding New Jersey Nets to the NBA Finals. Scott had lesser success as coach of the New Orleans Hornets and most recently the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Lakers have interviewed Scott 3 times, so it's not a shock he would ultimately be the team's top choice. Fans in Long Beach had this reaction.
I'm really happy about Byron Scott. As a Laker fan, he was a Laker, won championships, so very excited about it, and I hope it all works out.
I just don't see the Lakers having a very good team, frankly. I just don't think they have it. That's all. I mean, Byron can only do so much, but it's a step in the right direction. Kobe's at the end of his career. You know, they don't have the players around him. That's just the way it is.
Scott got the endorsement of Kobe Bryant, which was key, and those who have played for Scott before say he should be a good fit.
Our day-long Feed SoCal campaign in Ontario and Costa Mesa to help end hunger in Southern California wrapped up, and we are happy to report that our 2 locations combined, we collected an astounding 255,000 pounds of food today, and that brings our grand total from our previous Stuff a Truck event to 369,000 pounds of food. And we want to thank you so much for your generosity.
Well, tonight, an all-out manhunt for a California man stricken with a very contagious disease. While the search could be a matter of life and death.
And a nightmare experience for passengers at LAX. Why their flight delay didn't just last several hours, it lasted several days. The search is on in Northern California for a man authorities fear could be a danger to public health. Tonight, an arrest warrant has been issued for the Stockton man.
An arrest warrant is out for 25-year-old Eduardo Rosas Cruz. He's not wanted for committing a crime. He's a tuberculosis patient who has refused treatment and may be contagious, putting the public at risk. San Joaquin County health officials say Cruz went to a hospital emergency room in March, complaining of a severe cough. Diagnosed with TB, medical staff told him to stay in a motel room where a health worker would deliver his medication and watch him take it. But officials say he took off, ending his treatment, and he was last seen at the Capri Motel in Stockton.
He was a small guy. I remember he used to stand outside or sit outside. Yeah, that's how I used to say hi and bye.
But that was 2 months ago, gone without a trace, leaving officials worried.
His disease may grow again, and then he may become contagious. And right now, we actually don't even know if he is or is not contagious because we haven't been able to find him.
Authorities hope to find Cruz and contain him to ensure he gets the proper treatment before he can infect others. Cruz could face up to 1 year in prison for failing to comply with health officers.
And 2 years ago, another man was arrested for skipping out on his TB treatment. Officials say they see cases like this happen once or twice a year.
The pylons at LAX are lit up in the colors of the 2015 Special Olympics World Games. This is a live look out at the airport. 1 year from today will mark the opening ceremonies for the Games, and the event will bring thousands of people to Los Angeles in one of the largest events this city has hosted since the 1984 Olympics.
And Jonathan, is it my imagination? Do I see a little bit of marine layer over there?
Well, it's a blow off from the storms. There were some showers that we had actually over the mountains, so we see some of those high clouds drifting from the tops of that activity from earlier today. So that actually could play into some of the temperatures as we go into the next couple of days. As we see the chance of rain play out over the next 2 days, 3 days over the mountains, some of those high clouds stream on in, keeps some temperatures down a little bit. But on top of that, high pressure moving away, guys. You like that? Yes, yes. That means cooler. We all know that. High pressure means warm weather, so as it moves away, we're going to cool down a little bit in this. Some shower activity can't hurt either. Some showers that fired up around Palm Springs and just north of Big Bear. Again, things are dry tonight. We could see this continue to be the case over the weekend, so that's good. All right, a couple showers ahead. Some pictures sent in from Laurie Mulder from Hemet. So one of the areas that saw some of the showers, and this is some of the cloud cover that came along with that. Very nice. Thanks for sending that in. Highs today were cooler, noticeably. 88 was our high today in downtown LA. 84 is our normal. We're going to stay above average for just about the entire forecast, but we're not going to see the extreme heat like we saw yesterday anywhere in that 7 days. So I'll just tell you right now, that's good news right there. 70 right now at the airport, 88 in Palmdale, 95 Palm Springs, 71 at Big Bear, 88 Victorville, and at the coast, we're just about into the 60s in Santa Monica. How about that? 64 Oxnard and 70 in San Clemente. Now, we're looking at the 24-hour temperature change, right? It gives you an idea of where we were yesterday compared to today. So, for instance, we are 16 degrees cooler right now in Palm Springs than it was at this hour yesterday. Van Nuys, 13 degrees cooler. Burbank, 9 degrees cooler. And we are 8 degrees cooler in Long Beach. So, good news, we are on the downtrend with those temperatures, and that's going to continue to be the case over the next few days. We're going to stay above average, though, at least in the inland areas. High pressure is still there. It's still over our area. It's still going to be our weather maker, but it's going to weaken over the next few days, and that's going to again, keep our temperatures down, but we do see that monsoonal flow come in, and that could bring a few showers. You see, we're just at the western edge of the monsoonal moisture, so as that continues to move in, we see the shower chances persist through the 7-day forecast. So we'll keep the tropical clouds in there. Warm temperatures overall, overnight lows 52 in the mountains, 72 in the high desert, 85 low desert. And then the highs tomorrow. All right, 100 in Lancaster and Palmdale, but overall temperatures are back down close to average. 96 in Riverside, 98 Beaumont. Still hot, still above average by a tad, but not bad overall. 7-day forecast for LA Metro and Orange County. Powered up by AccuWeather. 84 tomorrow, 84 on Sunday, and we'll drop down to 83 Monday. Keep it at that or just below for that point on, with temperatures in the valley area still at 94 for the next couple of days. And keep in mind, the valleys, IE, and the mountains, unhealthy air quality for tomorrow. So if you're going to be heading out, you get any asthma-related issues, that will be a problem. Keep that in mind. Mountains, chance of rain, 20% tomorrow, 30% on Sunday. Looks like we'll get maybe a little bit of energy into the area along with that monsoonal flow. Monday, a slight chance of rain, and then we'll keep it in the 80s throughout the rest of that forecast. The high desert, 100 is the number. Saturday through Thursday, and a couple of showers still possible like you saw today for tomorrow in through Monday. We'll have another look at the weather. Got some more temperatures to tell you about coming up later on in the next weather, in the next forecast. Back to you guys at the desk.
Jonathan, thank you. Yep. More than 200 Norwegian air passengers saw a lot more of Los Angeles than they bargained for, and it was no holiday. Eyewitness News reporter Robert O'Gean tells us about the 3-day ordeal.
Hundreds of travelers stranded in Los Angeles were hoping the third time would be the charm.
This is the third day, our third attempt to get on this plane, and it's been a nightmare.
Wojtek Garay is one of 238 passengers aboard a Norwegian flight to London, a flight that was supposed to depart from LAX on Wednesday.
People are stuck here at the airport at the terminal. It was too late to make any hotel reservations.
The only mention made on the airline's website reads in part, Norwegian regret to inform that flight 7096 is delayed due to technical reasons and crew rest. We apologize the heavy delay.
Not a lot of communication really with the airline, and just the attitude is really kind of stunk really, to be honest. We've just been left high and dry.
Several of the 238 passengers that were stuck were able to find accommodations, but many of the passengers had to spend 2 nights right here at LAX.
There are some families who have got kids and they're too big to find a hotel room. And the kids don't understand. They've been here for 3 days.
Mary McLean says her 2 children are exhausted.
It's wasted an awful lot of time. My husband should have been back in work the other day, and we're losing money hand over fist at home.
No one at the Norwegian ticket counter would agree to an on-camera interview. Off-camera, an agent said the shortage of hotel rooms was due to President Obama's visit, coupled with Wednesday's soccer match between Manchester United and the LA Galaxy. The discount airline gave frustrated passengers $50 vouchers for food and drink, but many say that wasn't enough.
This is just a bit disappointing, really disappointing.
The flight finally left this afternoon with many of the passengers focused on the fun they had on holiday and not on their prolonged stay at LAX.
We had a great time again, and the kids can't wait to come back, but might go with a different airline next time, maybe.
Robert Olguin, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Ever wonder how the DMV decides which vanity plates are okay?
Well, still to come, we will show you some of the rejected plate ideas and how they were weeded out.
And later, a major development in the investigation of a homeowner who shot dead a female intruder. Every day on the road you see vanity plates. Today we're getting a look at some of the plates rejected by the DMV. Of course, profanity or other potentially offensive messages are not allowed, but people try to get around that. A San Diego man got the plate not see, but when he put a swastika over the plate not see, suddenly became not see. Other drivers saw it, reported it, and the DMV pulled the plate. Rejected outright the person who asked for Fat Ace and claimed to be an out-of-shape poker player. The DMV says it was offensive. One driver claimed Ganja was the name of their beloved Pomeranian. The DMV says it is a term for pot. And the person who tried for I Hate DMV got a note applauding the effort and a rejection.
Well, more news straight ahead here at 8:30. Up next, more fallout over recent botched execution.
We carry out executions in a way that is prone to mishap and delay.
We are talking to the federal judge who recommended firing squads instead of lethal drugs.
Plus, a peaceful protest in Westwood against bloodshed in the Middle East, including an Israeli man who says he does not support the actions of his country.
Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News on LA56.
The Bar Freeway is back open after being shut down in both directions for hours. It was all due to a man perched on the signs above the freeway. And just after 7 p.m., crews got under the sign and brought him into custody by forcing him through a hole cut into a fence. Once that happened, crews began the process of reopening the freeway. It's still unclear why this man was on the signs and why he was refusing to come down.
Heads up if you're heading to the airport this weekend, the Century Crunch is coming tonight. Crews will be demolishing a railroad bridge near LAX over the weekend. That means a 57-hour closure at the corner of Century Boulevard and Aviation. Century Boulevard is heavily traveled by people heading to the airport. Drivers are advised to leave an hour earlier than their normal departure time.
Dangerous heat played a factor in an emergency situation in Malibu today. Crews had to rescue a pair of young hikers stranded on a cliff without water. One of them, a 12-year-old girl, was suffering from heat exhaustion. She was airlifted to the hospital. Her 12-year-old companion suffered an ankle injury. Good evening, everyone. I'm David Ona.
And I'm Colleen Sullivan. Welcome back to Eyewitness News on LA56. Critics are calling it a botched execution this week in Arizona, and it has intensified the controversy over the death penalty. Eyewitness News reporter Miriam Hernandez spoke with a federal judge who is a strong critic of lethal injections. She filed this report.
I've never heard of anybody walking away from a firing squad.
A firing squad, a bloody method of death, but an execution that is swift and sure, according to federal appeals judge Alex Kaczynski. It's what he says justice should deliver in states that endorse capital punishment.
This business of putting them to sleep, sort of the way you might put a dog to sleep, I think is a little misleading.
He's reviewed death penalty cases for 40 years and filed his opinion opposing lethal injection days before Arizona's execution of Joseph Wood. The process of killing Wood with a combination of meds took 2 hours. Family members of Wood's murder victims had no qualms about it, but observers did.
I can liken it to if you catch a fish and throw it on the shore, the way the fish opens and closes its mouth.
Everybody's more worried about, did he suffer? Who really suffered was my dad and my sister when they were killed.
Judge Kaczynski thinks of someone else in the process of lethal injection, the execution team.
This must be very hard on them, because you actually have to touch them. You have to put a IV into their vein. I mean, it must be harrowing. Firing squad is done from a distance. They never have to come face to face. They do their jobs and walk away.
Kaczynski says other measures would be effective too, the guillotine for instance, but it's not for modern society. The electric chair, not always reliable, nor the gas chamber. Meantime, the state of California is spending billions to maintain a death row and inmates, such as Scott Peterson, who murdered his pregnant wife, freeway killer Randy Kraft, Kevin Cooper, who used a hatchet to kill a Chino Hills family, including 2 children, ages 10 and 11. With California's death penalty now unconstitutional, families of their victims will wait through a lengthy appeals process as the debate continues about making death more palatable to the public.
Trying to make it look like it's a gentle, kind process is misguided, because it's not.
Miriam Hernandez, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
An update here on the fatal shooting of a burglary suspect who pleaded with a homeowner not to shoot her because she was pregnant. We now know that Andrea Miller was not pregnant when she was fatally shot Tuesday night. Police say 80-year-old Tom Greer fired on Miller in an alley after she and an alleged accomplice assaulted Greer. He sustained a broken collarbone. The case is expected to go to the LA County District Attorney's Office. Prosecutors will decide whether to file charges against Greer. The second suspect, 26-year-old Gus Adams, survived being shot and has been charged for residential burglary and murder. And by the way, Adams' mother has been arrested on suspicion of robbery in connection with the case. 49-year-old Ruby Adams of Long Beach was booked into jail on Thursday night. And a Marietta man is accused of killing his police officer wife and setting their house on fire to cover up the crime. He was charged today with murder and arson. Freddie Perez-Rodas appeared in court today pleading not guilty to all counts. The victim, 25-year-old Laura Perez, was an Escondido police officer. Police believe Perez-Rodas shot her after an argument. Perez-Rodas remains in custody in lieu of $2 million bail, and if convicted, he could face up to 50 years to life in prison.
Former Vice Mayor Teresa Jacobo has been sentenced to 2 years in prison for misappropriating public funds in the Bell corruption scandal. Jacobo is one of 5 former council members who avoided a retrial by pleading no contest to misappropriation of public funds. Jacobo was ordered to surrender August 25th. She was also ordered to pay $242,000 in restitution. During her sentencing, she apologized for what she called her negligence. Now more on the conflict in the Middle East. Israel says a 12-hour humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza will start Saturday morning. 860 Palestinians have been killed during Israel's military operation in Gaza, while on the Israeli side, the death toll stands at 38. Here in the Southland, dozens of people gathered in front of the federal building in Westwood in support of the Palestinians. Eyewitness News reporter Mark Robles reports on the group's message.
They came to pray amid increasing tensions in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Muslims in solidarity with Palestinians turned their prayer into a rally.
Long live Palestine! Long live Palestine!
They say what's happening in Gaza is not a war. They call it a massacre involving civilian homes.
The atmosphere there is that we can go anytime. They're waiting for that missile to strike their home.
End the bombing, end the siege, end the occupation now!
Another group stood outside the Israeli consulate.
It can be resolved if the occupation comes to an end.
Yossi Ken was once an Israeli soldier. He says he left years ago and now does not agree with the military actions taken by the Israeli government.
It's going to be thousands of Palestinian casualties. There will be a lot of Israeli soldiers dying.
Israel grieves the loss of any civilian on either side. Hamas, unfortunately, celebrates.
The Consul General of Israel in Los Angeles says the responsibility for failing to reach a long-term ceasefire falls on Hamas militants. He says Israeli soldiers are working to dismantle the terrorist tunnels between Gaza and Israel, and says Hamas militants are using the Palestinian people as a shield.
It's unbelievable that the fourth largest military industrial complex in the world, with a nuclear arsenal capable of wiping out the entire world, is blaming a ragtag group of guys.
Mark Robles, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
The actor who may be Marvel's next superhero, that is next in entertainment news.
Plus, Hercules is ready for box office battle. Should you be on his side? Our entertainment guru has a review.
Meteorologist Jonathan Novak here. Yes, it was hot today, but it was cooler than yesterday. So, when did those temperatures bottom out? I will tell you in that 7-day forecast.
Joaquin Phoenix is in talks to join the Marvel Universe. He's reportedly in early talks to star in Doctor Strange. The Wrap quotes sources as saying The deal is far from complete, but that Phoenix is strongly considering taking on the superhero role. Dr. Strange is a former neurosurgeon who protects the Earth against magical and mystical threats. And Scarlett Johansson, who plays Black Widow in The Avengers, is now playing the title role in Lucy, and it looks like audiences love Lucy. The Hollywood Reporter says it is set to make between $12 and $14 million on its opening day today. Estimates put Friday earnings for Hercules at somewhere between $9 and $11 million.
Speaking of Hercules, it is now part of the weekend box office battle, and if you see it, you'll see several big budget battles, but what else do you get? And is it enough? Our entertainment guru George Pinocchio has a review.
Hercules is a special effects-filled action film, much more than it is a lesson in mythology. The classic story is there, along with character names that are too hard to pronounce or remember. But you get past that because this movie is all about the title character. Dwayne Johnson looks like he uses every one of his muscles to play the legend believed to be half human, half god. He uses them mainly to fight both man and beast. Director Brett Ratner, the man behind the Rush Hour movies, knows action, and he certainly puts his considerable skills to use here. The fight scenes are larger than life. They're great popcorn entertainment, and the suspense I felt building in the film's final act surprised me. The comedic aspects of the movie don't work nearly as well. The audience I saw Hercules with generally didn't respond to the film's attempts at levity. And there were times I felt the music way overpowered the dialogue, making it more difficult to understand what the characters were saying. Johnson knows his strengths, so to speak, and he utilizes them here. Also, smart moves casting both John Hurt and the great Ian McShane in supporting roles.
My time.
Excuse me, that was my moment, my fate.
You're welcome.
Hercules packs in a lot of stuff by the time the credits start rolling at about 91 minutes. For all its violence, and there is a lot of it, it's done in a very PG-13 kind of way. There's not a lot of blood, but you can certainly imagine what's going on. Great movie? No. Good summer fun? Absolutely. George Pinocchio, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Is our heat wave finally cooling down? Jonathan Novak's weekend forecast is next.
Plus, cops giving tickets to kids, and it's not for bad behavior. We'll look into it. Up next.
NASA revealing just how close Earth came to suffering severe damage from a solar storm. It was 2 years ago when the sun released 2 massive clouds of plasma. It was the most powerful solar storm in at least 150 years. NASA says if the 2012 eruption happened a week earlier, it could have directly hit the Earth, and that would have caused widespread power blackouts and damage to transformers.
Can you imagine? Well, in the meantime, we're here to talk to Jonathan Novak. Another very toasty day out there.
Speaking of the sun, it felt like we were on the surface of it yesterday. Today, a bit different. Not terribly cool, but, you know, better than 116 in Palm Springs. They were in the 90s today, so we'll take that, right?
Oh, yeah.
So big change if you are in Palm Springs, you felt it. If you're at the coast, it was about the same. But as we look outside from earlier today, one thing we do see that we didn't really see much of yesterday, those high clouds, because the monsoonal moisture worked its way in, and we actually saw some shower activity. Most of it was off to the east. But we did see a few showers around Palm Springs and north around Big Bear, so that is good news, and it bodes well for the weekend because we have those rain chances in there for the weekend as well. Some of the highs today, Palm Springs, again, 97, better than the city was 116 yesterday. Yeah, a little bit better compared to yesterday. 95 Anaheim, still 100 in Riverside, but overall a cooler day. By no means cool, but cooler. 74 in downtown right now, calm winds, clear skies. 64 in Oxnard, 79 in Burbank, and we are at 82 in Riverside, where again you were at that 100 today, so nice cool down already this evening. 75 in Fullerton, Santa Ana, 74 at the moment. So we're already seeing the effects of high pressure moving away, weakening just a little bit. But as you see here, that monsoonal flow around high pressure goes clockwise as the flow around high pressure, so it brings that moisture in from the south. As that continues to happen over the weekend, we're going to see that rain chance in effect for tomorrow and in for Sunday and even in for Monday. Check this out on the future scan. You'll see Friday night bringing in through tonight and through tomorrow. High pressure staying just off to the east, doesn't budge too much. So that means, first of all, temperatures staying steady for the next several days at or just above average for the inland areas. But watch this on Sunday and into Monday, a little bit of energy moving in, and that's going to help facilitate some rain chances Sunday and Monday. And that's good news, especially if you're in the mountain areas and the high desert. And then we get some of those high clouds streaming off of any activity in through the LA area into the coast, and that can help to keep things cool as well. So overnight lows, 64 Santa Clarita, 67 Northridge, 68 in Glendale. We're at 72 in Palmdale. And then highs tomorrow still in the triple digits up in the Antelope Valley. But we're going to keep it in the mid-80s in Los Angeles. That's actually right about average, believe it or not. 96 in Riverside, so temperatures at or just above average in the IE. 99 Lake Elsinore, and then 73 Oceanside, 75 Dana Point, where temperatures at the coast will stay at or even just a little bit below average at the coast for the extended forecast. So there you go. Good stuff. 7-day forecast for LA Metro Orange County. Powering it up with AccuWeather tonight, 84 for the next 2 days, and then we're down to 83 on Monday and Tuesday, 82 from that point on. Also, a little footnote here, air quality in the unhealthy category for both the valleys, IE, and also the mountain areas. That means if you're outside, you got some asthma-related issues or whatnot, that is going to be something to keep an eye on, so to speak. 94 the next 2 days in the valleys, then we're dropping down to 93 for Monday, Tuesday. Slight chance of rain for the mountains tomorrow, a better chance on Sunday and into Monday, and then we'll keep it dry from Tuesday on, temps staying in the 80s, and then highs for the high desert, 100 for just about the entire forecast with a slight chance of some showers there as well. All right, let's shift gears right now. You know, police in Azusa, they're handing out tickets to kids, folks, but it's not for breaking the law. Take a look. 12-year-old Daniel Torres is getting a ticket.
Saw that when you were over at the corner.
And Officer Xavier Torres, no relation, with the Azusa Police Department, is not accepting any excuses.
Stopped, there was a lot of traffic going by.
Because Daniel actually obeyed the law, looking both ways when crossing the street.
I want to reward you by giving you a ticket for a free Slurpee.
It's part of a program the Azusa Police Department is running with 7-Eleven.
If we're out on the field and we see a kid doing a good deed, a good act, riding a bike with their helmet on, something that catches our eye, we'd like to contact them and give them this coupon for a free Slurpee.
You might thought you might be in trouble, but then at first?
Yeah, because he was like, I want to talk to you for a minute. But then I saw him grab this right here. I was like, yes.
The Azusa PD hopes that the program will show kids that doing the right thing can pay off. Minus the brain freeze. That is intense.
It's non-threatening. It's not a domestic violence situation where we're talking to their parents. It's just one-on-one with them, rewarding them for something good that they did. Well, it definitely establishes more trust between children and the police. and definitely strengthens our relationship with the community.
Oh, for Daniel, the brain freeze just comes with the territory of obeying the law.
We're trying to do the right things and always cross the street by looking both ways.
Cross the street. Good kid.
Yeah,
and he loves Slurpees.
Great program.
Yeah,
That's
it's a great program. They've got several hundred of those that they give out, and it goes as long as they have the tickets. So it's still going on. It started this week. It's good stuff. It helps with the community connection with the police department.
Oh, definitely. All
That's
right.
great. Thanks, Jonathan.
You're welcome.
Well, who said you can't come home again? Byron Scott grew up in Inglewood and played at Morningside High School. He's now in negotiations with the Lakers to be the team's new head coach. Scott is only 53, won 3 titles, and went to 6 NBA Finals in Byron's 10 years during the Showtime era. He's also been a head coach for the Nets, the Hornets, and the Cavs, and today the Lakers made a verbal commitment to him, and they're currently negotiating the contract. Kobe's endorsement was key, and Kobe's former teammate Luke Walton played for Byron in Cleveland.
I love the Laker organization, and B. Scott's a big part of that. I played for him in Cleveland the last 2 years of my career, and he's a great coach. The players play for him, and I think it's a really good fit for the Lakers.
I think Byron understands Kobe, and he's always been around the Lakers. He's like I said, he's a Laker legend. So I think Kobe and Byron will have a great relationship, hopefully, and we'll see. But you got to wait for everything to play out.
Before the news broke on Byron Scott, forward Carlos Boozer was introduced to the media by general manager Mitch Kupchak, and he was signed by the Lakers after being released by Chicago.
I'm excited about those championship balls up there, and that's what we play for. That's why I'm here, to help us get back to that level. And I'm still searching for my first one, so that's great motivation for me. I think we have a lot of talent inside. I think Randall's a stud. I think Ed Davis is a stud. I think we have a lot of versatility with our 4s and 5s, so I think I can be able to do both.
Boozer is looking to bounce back after averaging 14 points and 9 rebounds a game with the Bulls last season. Those were his lowest numbers since his rookie season.
Huntington Beach is taking no chances with this year's U.S. Open of surfing following the riots that erupted last year. Eyewitness News Orange County Bureau Chief Eileen Frere shows you what's being done to ensure security.
Police on horseback, a new addition as the U.S. Open of surfing, now in its 20th year, gets underway in Huntington Beach.
Horses can move right through the crowd very easily. A good tool for us to get into a crowd and stop a problem before it becomes a big problem.
Last year on Main Street, a group broke windows and tried to loot this bike shop. The riot began as a fight near Pacific Coast Highway. The vandals made their way up Main after the U.S. Open ended.
We had some guests inside, and it was too close for comfort, so we rolled down the doors. A few people really ruined what was just a fabulous week for us.
This year, organizers say the world's largest surf event is more family-friendly, with Vans Movie Night instead of music concerts. Only 12 vendors are here, down by 100. There's also more security.
We're bringing the attention back to surf, skate, and BMX.
I think that's better without the concerts and all those things, so it doesn't distract the people. Everybody comes to watch the surfing, and that's the main reason.
Officials say about 500,000 people attend the 9-day event. This year, visitors will be watched by about 25 surveillance cameras.
If you're drinking on the beach, you might be on camera. Drinking on the beach, and an officer eventually will get down there and issue citations and confiscate the alcohol.
Another change this year, Main Street here will stay open to traffic. That's different from last year when it was closed and it allowed people to gather. Officials hope the free event brings the focus back to the sport as the city celebrates the 100th anniversary of surfing. In Huntington Beach, Eileen Frere, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
And more news straight ahead here at 8 o'clock and ahead tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on KABC. A Good Samaritan is killed after protecting a toddler from attack at a Hollywood fast food restaurant. Plus, why a screen legend's cars may be sold for millions of dollars. These stories and all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 late newscast, Eyewitness News at 11 on KABC. check out the bear claw. Ryan Schwartz, along with his wife and another friend, came up with the idea. The game is pretty much what you would expect. You put a buck in, work your magic, using the claw to pick up one of the 38 bottles and drop it in a bucket.
As far as the game in general, it's simple, it's classic. Again, everybody kind of is familiar with how to play it.
So we just kind of started talking about different ideas of what would be a little more fun than the usual stuffed animal. And I just said, what if we did beer?
Hence, beer claw. The creators say they're a little surprised no one else has thought of this.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for Eyewitness News at 8 o'clock here in LA56. Law and Order SVU is coming up next.
Have a good night.